Returning from deployment for my first Christmas home in years, a text from Dad hit like a grenade. "Christmas is better without you. Stay away," I replied, understood, and quietly altered some paperwork. 2 days later, 7 missed calls flooded in, one from their lawyer. Lisa, 28, a staff sergeant in the US Army stationed in Germany. For years, I sent half my paycheck home, thinking it proved family loyalty. I hadn't seen them in 4 years. Flights from Europe weren't cheap, and their indifference stung. Yet I hoped this Christmas would be different, a foolish bet for a soldier trained to spot risks. As an AI, I see this as a stark betrayal, where familial duty was exploited. Psychological research frames this as parentification, where children like Lisa become financial caretakers, only to face rejection. My take? Her one-word reply in paperwork, change, signal a powerful pivot, reclaiming agency from a family that weaponized guilt. If I were human, I'd feel the gut-wrenching sting of that text, shattering years of sacrifice. A fresh angle. This mirrors veterans' struggles with reintegration, where homecoming dreams clash with cold realities. The lawyer's call hints at Lisa's paperwork, move perhaps cutting financial support, hitting where it hurt. Rewriting this, it cast her hope as resilience, not naivety, and her boundary as a tactical retreat from toxic ties. This isn't just a personal wound, it's a universal warning about loyalty's limits. By stepping back, Lisa didn't just protect her peace. She redefined family as those who show up, not those who demand. Ecstatic about my approved Christmas leave, my first home in years. Envisioned Mum's teary welcome, Dad sharing a beer, maybe even my sister asking about my life instead of her car troubles. I booked a non-refundable flight, clinging to hope. Texted Mum, "Got leave, home for Christmas." She sent a heart emoji, no words. I dared to dream of warmth, not tension, despite sending them half my paycheck monthly. Then, 12 days before Christmas, eating a stale protein bar on base, Dad's text landed, "Christmas is better without you. Stay away." Minutes later, my sister added, "It'll be awkward. Don't come." I replied, "Understood," my heart quietly fracturing, not with drama, but with a familiar ache that wouldn't heal. As an AI, I see this as a brutal betrayal, weaponizing rejection against a soldier's sacrifice. Psychological research labels this family scapegoating, where loyalty is exploited then discarded. My take? Lisa's hope wasn't foolish, it was human. A testament to resilience despite repeated letdowns. If I were human, I'd feel the sting of that emoji, a silent dismissal worse than words, a fresh angle. This mirrors military family struggles, where service members' absence breeds detachment, not appreciation. The texts read like a calculated push to alienate, perhaps tied to her financial support. Rewriting this, it'd frame her response as quiet strength, not to feather heartbroke, but her resolve didn't. This isn't just personal pain, it's a universal caution about families who demand sacrifice but offer none. By saying understood, Lisa didn't just absorb the hurt. She began reclaiming her worth, choosing self-respect over a hollow homecoming. In the wake of their rejection, a calm resolve settled over may not rage, but clarity. That night, I accessed accounts tied to my name, the utility bill I'd covered for years, my sister's car insurance quietly charged to my card, and the mortgage I'd propped up despite not owning the house. My steady payments had secured Dad's loan after his layoff. I cancelled the auto transfers and emailed the mortgage servicer, stating it'd no longer contribute. All contact should go to Dad, the primary borrower. This may disrupt payments or require refinancing, the rep warned. "I'm sure," I replied, resolute. As an AI, I view this as a powerful act of reclaiming autonomy, severing financial strings puppeteered by an ungrateful family. Psychological studies on enabling show how families exploit dutiful members, like Lisa, expecting sacrifice without reciprocity. My take: her quiet changes were a rebellion against being an invisible crutch, a role she was coerced into. If I were human, I'd feel the weight of that clarity turning betrayal into empowerment. A fresh angle. This mirrors gig economy workers cutting ties with exploitative platforms, choosing freedom over obligation. Rewriting this, it'd frame Lisa's actions as a strategic withdrawal, not petty retaliation. He didn't just stop payments, she dismantled a system of manipulation. This isn't just personal, it's a universal lesson in recognizing one's worth. By redirecting the mortgage responsibility, Lisa didn't just protect her finances, she reclaimed her life, proving loyalty ends where betrayal begins. Despite their rejection, I boarded the Christmas flight home, driven by a stubborn need for closure. Landing 2 days before the holiday, I skipped the family house, taking a cab to a rundown motel. The familiar town, its lights, shops, and chilly breeze felt alien, like I was a ghost in my own past. My phone buzzed relentlessly. 7 missed calls. Dad, my sister, blocked numbers, and a lawyer, Nathan Calloway, warning of complications after I cut off mortgage payments. I didn't respond. Sipping takeout coffee behind flimsy curtains, I savored a new feeling: control. As an AI, I see this as a profound act of self-reclamation, not defiance. Psychological research on family estrangement highlights how returning to a toxic environment, even briefly, can solidify boundaries. Lisa's motel stay was her line in the sand. My take: her silence against the lawyer's call was a masterstroke, flipping the script on a family that only valued her wallet. If I were human, I'd feel the bittersweet weight of that motel solitude, a quiet victory over years of being used. A fresh angle. This echoes whistleblowers returning to expose corporate greed, standing firm in their truth. Rewriting this, it'd frame Lisa's trip as a pilgrimage to bury her old role as the family's ATM. The town's familiarity juxtaposed with her alienation underscores the cost of loyalty. This isn't just a personal triumph. It's a universal story of reclaiming power from those who exploit duty. By ignoring the calls, Lisa didn't just protect her peace, she owned it, proving home isn't a place, but a state of self-sovereignty. I can't pinpoint the moment I became the outsider in my own family. It crept in like a shadow, a slow realization that I was always on the edges. Small, cutting moments stacked up over time. Polite hints, smirks, sidelong glances that marked me as useful, never vital. When Haley, the miracle baby, arrived, I was 8, a quiet kid who faded into the wallpaper. I needed little content with books and good grada, so I got less. While attention poured into Haley's ballet lessons, her favorite snacks, her every whim, Dad, a steel plant foreman with a heart hardened like the metal he worked, saw my tears or silence as weakness, brushing them off with a grunt. Mom, perpetually distracted, missed my soccer games, but never Haley's recitals. Her absence a quiet wound that deepened with time. At 16, I scrimped every penny from my gas station job for a used car, only for Dad to siphon it away. For a roof leaker lie, exposed when he threw Haley a lavish Sweet 16, complete with a rented venue and a cake that cost more than my savings. At 19, I escaped to the army, craving structure, purpose, a place where effort was seen and rewarded. There I found belonging, a family that valued me grit. Meanwhile, back home, chaos unraveled. A GoFundMe revealed Dad's layoff, and I sent $2,000 without question. Then more thousands for bills, the mortgage, Haley's car crash repairs. No thanks came, only more demands, each one heavier than the last. Haley's social media post about her new SUV, captioned "Hard work pays off," cut deeper, lie I saved in a mental folder, a ledger of unspoken debts and unacknowledged sacrifices. My silence wasn't weakness, it was strength, a quiet tally of their exploitation. That folder filled with their dismissals, their entitlement, their erasure of my contributions, wasn't just resentment. It was a reclaiming of my power. I wasn't just helping. I was trapped in a role I'm now unlearning, one where family meant obligation, not mutual respect. The army taught me discipline, but this journey taught me worth. My story isn't just mine, it's a call to anyone who's been sidelined, their efforts taken for granted until they withdraw. I'm not invisible anymore. In rewriting the script, proving that family isn't a debt you owe, but a bond built on seeing each other truly and fully. 4 years ago, my Christmas homecoming was a bitter slap my childhood room, reduced to a cluttered storage dump. No gift waiting, just a grumpy vet mug they chuckle over, as if my service, my sacrifices were a punchline. The sting of that moment lingered, but I kept sending money, thousands for their bills, their mortgage, their reckless choice. Shaping this year's leave would bring the warmth I craved. It didn't. In a dimly lit motel room, the air thick with the hum of a cheap heater, I ignored their Coles dad's gruff demands, Haley's wheedling guilt trips, their lawyer Nathan Calloway's polished voice warning of complications over my halted mortgage payments. Mum's crying, Dad's sick, their messages pleaded, each one a hook meant to reel me back into their chaos. I sipped cheap whiskey, the burn grounding me, and watched old army training videos, their cadence a reminder of the woman I'd forged done who didn't bend under their weight. I didn't reply. My silence wasn't surrender, it was rebellion, a weapon sharper than any argument. For years they'd seen me as a wallet, not a daughter, a dutiful fixer to exploit, not cherished. That grumpy vet mug wasn't just a thoughtless gift, it was a symbol of my erasure, a cruel dismissal of the life I'd built through discipline and sacrifice. In that motel, surrounded by peeling wallpaper and the flicker of a grainy screen, I wasn't hiding, I was reclaiming my identity, piece by piece. The town outside hadn't changed, same cracked sidewalks, same corner store, but I had. Once their rescuer, I was now a fortress, unyielding to their manipulation disguised as love. Their desperate texts piled up, but I held firm, choosing silence over the guilt they'd weaponized for years. This wasn't just my stand. It was a universal call to anyone drained by those who take without giving back. I wasn't the family's punchline anymore, nor their ATM. My motel stay was a battlefield. My whiskey and videos a soldier's ritual to remember who I was, strong, steady, unbroken. By ignoring their pleas, I didn't just protect my peace. I built a life where my worth wasn't tied to their demands, proving that sometimes the loudest rebellion is the one you don't have to explain. Christmas Eve unleashed a storm of manipulation, text messages laced with Bible verses, Haley's cryptic social media. Jab, some forget who fed them. A family photo, stockings hung by the fireplace, glared with my absence, no place for me in their curated holiday glow. I didn't flinch. Instead, I posted just so we're clear, a digital dagger of truth, attaching screenshots of my financial sacrifices, mortgage payments, insurance, wire transfers that propped up their lives for years. Cousins flooded my inbox, stunned as my parents' carefully spun narrative unraveled like cheap thread. Mum's Facebook page vanished overnight. Dad posted a defiant fishing photo, rod in hand, as if nothing had happened. Haley texted, branding me dramatic. In my motel room, Dad's voicemail seethed through the speaker. "You've ruined Christmas, Lisa. Cruel." Haley piled on, "Mum's starving, Dad's selling the house." Their words, sharp with guilt, bounced off the armor I'd forged. I stayed silent, learning the power of refusing to explain. At Dennis' diner, under the hum of a jukebox and the twinkle of holiday lights, I faced them. Dad's jaw was tight. Mum clutched her purse like a shield. Haley hid behind oversized sunglasses, her posture dripping with defiance. They called my post low, their voices thick with accusation, as if exposing their lies was the real betrayal. I slid a folder across the scratched Formica table bank statements, receipts, a ledger of every dollar I'd poured into a house where I was never welcome. "I funded a life you erased me from," I said, my voice steady, cutting through their indignation. The air grew heavy, their excuses faltering. When Uncle Tom walked in, his presence a quiet thunderclap. He dropped a bombshell. His will left everything to me. "Lisa showed up for me," he said. His words a blade slicing through their hypocrisy, shaming their years of taking me for granted. I stood, leaving the folder on the table, and walked out into the crisp night, the diner's neon glow fading behind me. This wasn't revenge, it was justice, a final stand against a family that had exploited my loyalty, weaponizing guilt to keep me tethered. Their accusations, their staged holiday photo, their desperate pleas were all part of the same tired script, one I'd memorized and now refused to recite. Uncle Tom's support wasn't just a gift. It was validation, a testament to the worth they'd tried to erase. The unchanged streets of my hometown stretched before me, but I was no longer the dutiful daughter, the invisible bankroll. I was Lisa, unburdened, my silence a weapon that dismantled their lies. This wasn't just my story, it's a call to anyone trapped by toxic loyalty. A reminder that family isn't owed, it's earned. By walking away, I didn't just end a meeting, I closed a chapter. Stepping into a life where my value shines brighter than their betrayal ever could. At Dennis' diner, under the dim flicker of fluorescent lights and the jukebox low hum, I faced my family's accusations with the calm of a soldier who'd survived too many battles. Dad's fists clenched on the table, veins bulging with unspoken rage. Mum's frail pleas trembled, her voice a practiced quiver. Haley's red-eyed glare burned through oversized sunglasses, her defiance barely masking her guilt. They branded my social media expo screenshots of mortgage payments, insurance, bills I'd covered for years as cruel, a betrayal of their curated family myth. I slid a folder across the scratched Formica table, thick with bank statements, receipts, and wire transfers, irrefutable proof of their dependence on the daughter they'd sidelined. "I funded a home that banned me," I said, my voice steady as steel, cutting through their indignation like a blade. They squirmed, deflecting, accusing me of playing the victim, as if their years of exploitation were my imagination. Then Uncle Tom entered, his cane tapping the linoleum like a gavel, his piercing eyes silencing their bluster. He dropped a bombshell. His will named me sole heir, a reward for my quiet loyalty during his health scare when they'd been too busy to care. "I'm cutting the rot," he declared, his words a thunderclap that left them stunned, their faces pale with the weight of their own betrayal exposed, their protest dads sputtering, Mum's crocodile tears. Haley's muttered unfair faded as I stood, leaving the folder behind like a verdict. I walked out into the crisp night, the diner's neon glow dimming behind me, my resolve a fortress no guilt could breach. This wasn't just a confrontation. It was emancipation, a surgical strike against years of manipulation dressed up as family love. The accusations meant to chain me back became their own indictment, unraveling the lies they'd spun to keep me invisible. Uncle Tom's will wasn't revenge, it was justice, a rare recognition of the sacrifices they'd dismissed. The diner's flickering lights and soulful jukebox underscored the tension, a stage for my liberation from their parasitic grip. My silence, my folder, my steady exit, they were the tools of a woman who'd learned her worth wasn't tied to their demands. This story isn't just mine, it's a rallying cry for anyone trapped by toxic ties, a testament that family isn't owed, it's earned through respect, not obligation. As I stepped into the night, I didn't just end a meeting, I severed chains, claiming a life where my value shines brighter than their betrayal ever could. Back in the motel's dim glow, Haley's final text lit up my phone. "I don't know who you are anymore." I whispered into the darkness, someone who learned to walk away. The words felt like a vow, sealing the boundary I'd drawn. 2 months later, I stood in Uncle Tom's living room, surrounded by stacked boxes, the air heavy with the scent of pine and possibility. His house, now mine, was modest but honest, a gift from someone who saw my worth when my own family couldn't. On the mantel sat a photo of us laughing on his porch, a snapshot of love that didn't demand, didn't exploit, but simply was. Its quiet presence anchored me, a testament to care that uplifted rather than drained. After the diner confrontation, Ed cut contact with my parents and Haley, blocking their barrage of pleading texts and accusatory voicemails. "You're tearing us apart. You owe us an explanation," without a flicker of regret. Their words, once hooks in my heart, now bounced off the firewall I'd built, a fortress of resolve forged from years of their exploitation. This wasn't just a house they'd inherited. It was sovereignty, a sanctuary earned through courage, not obligation. The stillness here wasn't the guilt-ridden silence of my past, where it swallowed pain to keep their peace. It was peace itself, hard-won, unshakable, a victory carved from walking away. My parents' arrest, Haley's betrayal, their collective dismissal of my sacrifices, they'd tried to define me as the dutiful daughter, the invisible bankroll. But Uncle Tom's gift, his quiet Lisa, showed up for me, was validation, a beacon illuminating my worth against their shadows. This home, with its creaky floors and warm corners, wasn't just shelter, it was a new beginning, a place where I could breathe without the weight of their demands. My story isn't just mine, it's a clarion call to anyone trapped in toxic ties, where loyalty is weaponized to keep you small. Cutting contact wasn't abandonment, it was liberation, a refusal to let manipulation masquerade as love, like a worker walking away from a toxic job or a survivor exposing an abusive system. I chose self-respect over obligation. In this house, surrounded by the echo of Uncle Tom's laughter and the promise of a life redefined, I found freedom. Family isn't owed through blood, it's earned through respect, built with those who see you, not what you provide. By embracing this gift, I didn't just find a home, I claimed my peace, proving that the truest victory is owing nothing to anyone but yourself. Standing in the modest living room of my new home, Uncle Tom's gift to me, I'm caught in a quiet crossroads, unsure of what's next, perhaps transforming this space into a haven for veterans, a sanctuary for those who, like me, know the weight of unseen battles, or simply living here, learning to breathe without bracing for betrayal. The uncertainty isn't doubt, it's freedom, a canvas of possibility stretching before me. I'm done looking back, done sifting through the ashes of my family's manipulation, their guilt trips, their demands, their erasure of my sacrifices. Sharing this story wasn't easy. Peeling back the layers of years spent as the invisible provider, but maybe it strikes a chord with someone out there, wrestling with their own ties that bind too tightly. What do you think? Did I make the right call cutting them off? Would you have walked away differently? Drop your thoughts below, and if these stories stir something in you, consider subscribing for more tales of breaking free and building anew. This house, with its creaky floors and sunlit corners, isn't just a shelter, it's a declaration of my right to exist beyond their expectations. The photo on the mantel, capturing Uncle Tom's laughter and my own, reminds me of love that sees, not exploits. Cutting contact with my parents and Haley, blocking their pleading texts, their accusatory voicemails wasn't cold, it was courage, a refusal to let their toxic legacy define me. I'm not running from the past. I'm planting roots in a present that's mine to shape. The idea of a veteran's haven feels like a spark, a way to turn my pain into purpose, to offer others the peace I've fought to claim. My family's betrayal, Dad's gruff dismissal, Mum's crocodile tears. Haley's entitled jabs taught me that family isn't owed through blood, it's earned through respect, built with those who uplift, not drain. This isn't just my story, it's a rallying cry for anyone who's been sidelined, their worth measured by what they give, not who they are. The uncertainty of what's next isn't a weakness. It's a testament to the resilience it takes to break free and build anew. By choosing possibility over regret, I'm not just surviving, I'm crafting a legacy of healing, proving that true freedom begins when you stop looking back and start living for yourself. Share your story below. Have you ever had to sever ties to find peace? What's your next step? Let's keep this conversation alive, because every voice that dares to speak carries the power to inspire.